eyes. Got up and I beat those eyes. That's understood. It was always me versus me. It was never me versus you. Now I'm good. Wake up and I do my part. Wake up and I do my job. Just how I should. It was always me versus me. It was never me versus you. It's understood. Get up, had to beat those eyes. Got up and I beat those eyes. That's understood. It was always me versus me. It was never me versus you. And now I'm good. Wake up and I do my part. Wake up and I do my job. Just how I should. I feel it all. I'm feeling numb. I lost my soul. It's on the run. I need a spot. I need some fun. I'm in the dark. Like what's to come? It was always me versus me. It was never me versus you.
Alright, cool beans. Hope you guys enjoyed that small montage. I'm Hex. I'm finally going to be going over my greatly improved StamDK build for the Necrom chapter update. And I'm just going to get out of the way. This build hit extremely hard, like unbelievably hard. I'm just going to say it right now. I have been sleeping on this one mythic. I swapped out my mythic for a different one, and honestly, this build was just insane. The amount of damage and healing on this build was crazy. The uniqueness and sustain and just survivability from my back bar set to the ridiculous damage from my front. Like, DKs just have it all. Where do I even start? Immortality from corrosive, true damage from corrosive, unbelievable healing from coag, some of the greatest dot pressure, and insane burst from whip. Like, what, DK has it all, and it's not getting nerfed, surprisingly. Like, that combustion nerf isn't even a nerf, it's a wash. But how exactly we get the strong build in order? Stick around to the end of the video and I'll show you exactly how. But before we get started, if you hit the subscribe and like button, really goes a long way and I greatly do appreciate it. Also, if you want to vote for the first video of every month, follow me, support me on Patreon. Also, if you want to see me get Zerged over live or play other games live, follow me on Twitch. But without further ado, let's leap our way into the build. Alright, so for the skills, first skill we do run is Fossilize. This is obviously our stun. Stuns the target for up to 3 seconds, does flame damage when it expires, or they CC break it. I like this morph because of that root. Now you might be saying, well, isn't everyone just going to roll dodge after they break a CC? More than likely, yes, but this is guaranteed to burn somebody's stam. If they don't roll dodge, guess what? They're standing there and they're locked down and they're more than likely going to die. I personally like that, but if you want the other morph, go ahead. Perfectly fine. Next skill is Venomous Claw. Obviously, this is a really hard hitting dot. Does good initial damage, does damage over time. The thing about this morph is the longer the dot's going, the more it ramps. So every time it ticks, it does 12% bonus damage and it just keeps ramping and it does a lot of damage. Really good dot. Next skill is Noxious Breath. This is obviously another good dot, mostly just there to get major breach on the build. Basically getting almost 6k armor shred on a target, which is really nice. Next skill is Flames of Oblivion. This is our spammable. No, does a good amount of damage. You can actually hit up to 3 targets, which is really nice. This is also how we get 12% crit on our front bar. That way we don't have to run crit pots on this build. But this is mostly just there to proc our next skill, which is Molten Whip. I mean, Molten Whip needs no introduction. For those that don't know the power of Molten Whip, let's go over it. This thing doesn't seem like it does much. It's unbuffed, by the way. When this morph, when you activate a different Hearthen ability, so Flames of Oblivion, Noxious, and or Venomous Claw, you get a stack. Each stack increases the damage of your next Molten Whip by 20% and increases your weapon and spell damage by 100, second to 3 times. So we can get up to 300 weapon and spell damage and 60% more damage on our whip. I mean, let's just do it real quick. Let's buff it up. Look at that. That's a 14.7k whip. And this is unbuffed. We have another set that can actually increase this even further, which I'll go to in a little bit. For ultimate, obviously, Take Flight. This is like one of the last instant cast ultimates, which is kind of sad to think about. Obviously, we launch ourselves into the air and we leap them into oblivion, knocks them back and stuns them. Really fun ultimate. If you want, you could maybe slot this instead of, you could put Dawnbreaker here maybe if you wanted to, honestly, for the passives. But honestly, Take Flight is just too much fun to take off. For the back bar, we do run Race Against Time. Obviously, this is our stamina. This happens to grant Major Expedition and Minor Force. Next, Volatile Armor. This is basically the armor DK buff. The only problem is last 20 seconds, which sucks. That's a little short time. This one does an AoE damage around us. I mean, you can run it either morph, it doesn't really matter. And reflect some damage, whatever. Next skill is Resolving Vigor. This is obviously our burst hop. Heal a lot over 5 seconds and grants us Minor Resolve. Next is Igneous Weapons. Yes, we're running Igneous Weapons on this build. This is how we get our 20% weapon damage on this build. The reason we want 20% weapon damage is because we do have access to minor brutality, which gives us 10% more weapon damage. And it's also really good just in case you're bird of stam and you have a lot of mag. Next skill is obviously coagulating blood. This is obviously our burst heal. This heal is just beyond cracked. Heals us a lot, and it also increases the amount of healing based on our missing health. And trust me, I've crit healed this thing for 18k plus, even 20k plus before with this thing. And with the set we're running that can give us major vitality and major minion at the same time possibly, we can burst heal for over 20k easily at a keep with this. And for our ultimate, obviously we do run the cheese that is corrosive. This is honestly your get out of jail free card slash instant win ultimate. Like, it's just ridiculous. You basically become immortal, dealing a small dot around you, but the main important thing, while active, this ability and your direct damage dealt ignores enemy physical and spell resist. So our light attacks, our direct damage abilities like our whips, that all ignores physical and spell resist, basically making us do almost true damage. Basically immortality and damage. Like, what more do you want from an ultimate? Alright, but enough, let's go with the stat sheets. Alright, so for our stat sheets, we're just gonna pop a simple tripod. Alright, so our max mag over 15k, our max health just shy of 34k, and our max damage over 23.3k. Now our recov's fully buffed, make sure it pops up, yep. Alright, so our mag and stam recuv might look a little low, but we do have a CP that actually increases our mag and stam recuv by 150, and obviously we're a DK with a battle roar. Our recuv comes from ulti gen, which we do have a lot of ulti gen on this build, trust me. Might look a little low, but there is a way to buff this up if you do want some more. Now our fully proc weapon and spell damage. Before Sea Serpent's proc, our weapon damage is at 5573, just shy of 5600. Now let's check with the Sea Serpents. Alright, now our weapon and spell crit is over 40% on this build. That is a ridiculous amount of crit, especially on a DK. And our physical spell penetration is over 6500. Might look a little low, but you have to realize we do have access to major breach and potential minor breach, which is almost another 9k penetration on the target. We basically have over 15k armor shot on the target. And obviously, you know, if we really do want to kill somebody, pop a corrosive, there you go. Now our resist on our back bar real quick. Spell resist over 28.8k, and our physical resist is over 28.1k. And our crit resist is just shy of 2100. We are incredibly tanky. So for the attributes, we do have 24 points in health and 40 points in the stam. For the food, we do run good old Jules and Mistral, saying that purple food is perfectly fine. And for the menace, we do run the thief. If you know me, you know that I love crit. 6% chance to do over 50% bonus damage with bonus healing. What pressures sweats is crits, and what melts pugs is critting them into oblivion. Trust me, crits melts pugs. But obviously, if you aren't an Imperial or you are having more sustain issues, then I would highly recommend trying out the Serpent. And obviously we are a stage 3 vampire for one simple passive. Undeath. The lower health we are, the tankier we become. And for my race, I am an Imperial. Honestly, in my opinion, Imperial is hands down the best open world stam race out there. We get access to tough, increase our max health by 2k, the most max health from a racial passive. Imperial Metal, increase our max stam by 2k, but most importantly, Red Diamond reduces the cost of all your abilities by 6%. That includes Magicka, Stamina, Health, and Ultimates, and your core combat skills. CC breaking, roll dodging, and sprinting all cost 6% less. This is basically almost negating the downside of being a stage 3 vampire, which is really nice. Some great alternatives. Khajiit would be perfect for this build. We do have high crit. Orc could be really good. Nord could be really good. Dark Elf, maybe. Don't be a Redguard, please. Redguard is really bad. Wood Elf wouldn't be bad, actually. Don't sleep on Wood Elf. Anything else I'd kind of maybe stay away from. Alright, but enough of that. Let's go over the sets now. Alright, so for the first set we do run the power that is Daedric Trickery. I mean, come on, Daedric Trickery on a DK. There's nothing like quite like it. Honestly, it just fits perfect for the class. When you deal damage, you get 1 of 5 random major buffs, each lasting 21 seconds with a 9-second cooldown. So you can basically get up to 3 procs of these at once. The only thing is, this is a roll of the dice. You can actually roll the same buffs twice, 3 times, 4 times in a row. So that is a possibility. So if I proc Major Expedition and I proc my Daedric Trickery again, it can proc another Major Expedition. But even though all these buffs are just beautiful on DK. We get access to Major Expedition, increase our move speed by 30%. Major Protection, reduces our damage taken by 10%. Major Mending, increases our healing done by 16%. Major Vitality, increases our healing received by 16%. But my most personal favorite, and it DK's blessing, Major Heroism, increases our ultimate generation by 3 every second and a half. This basically almost doubles our ultimate generation, and we all know what ultimate generation is on a DK. That is sustained, and not only that, it's indirect damage and tankiness, because we're able to pump out more corrosives, or we're able to pump out even more leaps just for more damage and more it's just a beautiful set. And don't even get me started with procking a Major Mending into a Major Vitality proc and burst healing back to full. Just an insane set. So for the monster set, we do run obviously Bloodspawn. I mean, Bloodspawn on a DK is like butter on toast. You can't have one without the other. Generating up to 13 ultimate and being able to get up to 3700 armor, which is just insane. Tankiness and ulti gen, what more do you want on a DK? So we do run One Piece training because this is a meta front bar back bar setup with a mythic. Why One Piece training? Because we do have one slot available, so why not slot training? Gives us the most max health for our One Piece. And what mythic are we running? I finally did it. Yes, I finally started using Sea Serpent's Coil, and honestly, Sea Serpent's Coil is beyond bonkers. I cannot believe I have been sleeping on this set for so long. While at full health, you get 40% damage reduction to the next damage ability. As we're taking damage while in combat, you gain Serpent's Rebuke for 10 seconds, granting major Berserk and Courage, increasing our damage done by 10% and increasing our weapon and spell damage by 430. Yes, but it's not all good. Sadly, we do reduce our movement speed by 40%, which is very unfortunate, but the power that is Sea Serpent, more weapon and spell damage, that just spikes up our vigor and our coag heals. And Major Berserk, the thing I didn't realize is having this much damage takes pressure off yourself, because if they don't play defensive, they're gonna die. So they have to, like, instead of dropping them to half health with Sea Serpent, you can drop them to a quarter, and they either have to decide, do I commit to you or do they heal? And guess what, if they don't heal, you're gonna kill them. You get that Molten Whip crit, done. Just a beautiful myth. Obviously, if you don't want to run Sea Serpent because of that snare, trust me, I understand. Obviously, Mark and Ring of Majesty, perfectly fine. But for our main set, for our front bar, we do run the beauty that is Order's Wrath. Honestly, Order's Wrath is a beautiful set. What I like about Order's Wrath is that I want crit. I love crit. You know me, I love crit. You can pretty much go to any build video, I more than likely will at least mention that I love crit. But what I like about Order's Wrath over Gorman's, don't get me wrong, Gorman's is a really good set. What I like about this one, increases our critical damage, critical healing by 8%, but it also grants us that extra 4.5% line of crit chance. So it's just best of both worlds, because guess what, if you don't crit, you're not going to do the extra bonus damage. So just being able to get that little bit of extra crit is honestly better for me. If you want, you could run Gorman's, honestly. I just stick with Order's Wrath. It's beautiful, and you can craft it in any way you want. Honestly, just a beautiful set. Granting us 4.5% crit chance and another 5-piece. Increases our critical damage, critical healing by 8%, because why not? Just a beautiful set. Alright, so the way we run it, we do run dual wield maces. On the main hand, make it nerd known, it makes a difference. And for the enchant, we do run an Azor's Dam enchant. Good for the stam sustain, but mostly there to be able to proc Minor Breach. And on the offhand, we do run a Shock enchant with Sharpen. Shock enchant can proc Minor Vuln, and Sharpen obviously because in PvP penetration is keen. And for our back bar, we do run a Restoration Staff with Danger Trickery. Honestly, on this one, I do run poisons, the immovability poisons. Honestly, because when I go in for my heavy with my resto, I don't want to get CC. When I'm going for a heavy, I want to get that heavy off so I can get a lot of mag and get on-demand Major Mending. So that basically almost guarantees that we won't get stunned out of it, which is really nice. And we do run a resto. If you do want to run an ice staff, you can for the block mitigation and block cost reduction. I like the resto because our fully charged heavies restore more mag. We get on-demand Major Mending. We also get some really nice healing when we're low health, and we also get some mag back when we're blocking our back bar, which is really nice, but honestly up to you personally. And defending obviously, because tankiness is next to godliness. And for the body, we do run the typical 3-3-1, 3 heavy, 3 medium, 1 light. So we do run a heavy Bloodspawn helm, heavy chest of Order's Wrath, medium shoulders of Bloodspawn, a light sash of Danger Trickery, medium hands of Order's Wrath, medium legs of Danger Trickery, and heavy feet of Order's Wrath. If for the traits, if you can, trash out all the pieces. If you can't do that, trash out the big pieces. What I mean by that is head, chest, and legs. And if you can't do that, max damage is perfectly fine. Just adjust your health at the end. And for the traits, typical 6 M pen, 1 reinforce. He has 6 M pen, 1 reinforce. The only reinforce I have is a heavy chest of Order's Wrath reinforce and the rest M pen. But obviously, if you want some more heavy reinforced pieces or some well fitted, go ahead. That's what I like about builds, we fit to our playstyle. And for the jewelry, we do run a Sea Serpent's coiled neck, ring of the training, and a ring of Danger Trickery. All infused, all with weapon and spell damage, preferably the ones that grant Stam Recup, but if you have some or all with Mag Recup, it wouldn't really make or break the build. Honestly, the reason we go full infused is because DKs just have 10% more weapon damage from their passive from Minor Brutality. So just being able to increase all this weapon and spell damage for our heals is just god tier, like unbelievably god tier. If you do want to run some or all Bloodthirsty, you're more than welcome to run some Bloodthirsty and maybe even put a Stam Recup enchant on there if you really wanted to. Personally, up to you. I felt that full infuse was perfect. Really great damage and even better heals. And for the food, we do run, obviously, good old Jewels of Mistral. Gives us a lot of max health and recover everything. But obviously, if you got a deep pocket or don't mind spending a little extra, or Zafka Smoke Bear Hunt. Gives you about 400 more max health and slight more recover. And for the pots, good old tripods. Gives us a nice burst of everything, health, mag, and stam, and recover of everything. But obviously, if you got some really deep pocket or you're just balling, then you could obviously just run good old Minor Heroism pots. Basically the same thing as tripod, you just sacrifice the health and you get Minor Heroism. Yeah, but these things are very pricey, so be warned. Alright, but enough of that, let's go to the CP now. Alright, so for the blue CP, we do run Fighting Finesse, critical damage, critical healing. Focus Many, increases our healing done with single target heals. Deadly Aim, increases our damage done with single target attacks. The reason we run this over Thaumaturge is because all our dots on this build are actually single target, and this CP actually double dips. It actually increases the dot damage of our dots, and it actually increases our damage of our whips and Flames of Oblivion. Unlike Thaumaturge, it won't buff our Flames of Oblivion or whip. And lastly, but certainly not least, Ironclad, reduces the damage taken from direct damage attacks. And for the red CP, typical Seal of Approval red Hex CP. Slightly increases our movement speed by 10%. Honestly, in my opinion, the best CP in the entire game. Survival Instincts, while fitted with a status effect, our core combat skills cost less. So that means roll dodge, CC break, blocking, and sprinting all cost less when we have a status effect on us. Pain's Refuge, the more net effects we have acting on us, the tankier we become. And Sustained by Suffering. Honestly, since we already have Danger Trickery, I felt that I didn't really need Relentlessness, and honestly, I've been crushed too much by Relentlessness, and I tried Sustained by Suffering, and honestly, this CP was amazing. Trust me, this CP is beautiful. I will admit it, I do sleep on certain CPs and sets, and you know, this is honestly one of these builds is where I've been trying out the things I slept on. But obviously, if you want Relentlessness, go ahead. Honestly, but I highly recommend Sustained by Suffering on this build. And for the green CP, doesn't really matter. Rationer, Liquid Efficiency, Gifted Rider, and Steed's Blessing. But alright, cool beans, that's the build. Hope you guys did enjoy it. Honestly, this StamDK hits so unbelievably hard. It felt so much fun with Danger Trickery, because what I love about sets is the uniqueness and fun of it. Danger Trickery giving you all these unique buffs, Major Heroism, Major Expedition, healing so much, like it's just so much fun. And it addresses very well with Major Heroism on a DK for sustain, double dips. Like, just overall, what more do you want? Honestly, DKs are ridiculously broken. I'm surprised they're only getting a small nerf next patch. It's unbelievable. That nerf isn't even a nerf. It's just slight wash, to be honest. But as always, for those legends that are still sticking around to the end of the video, I greatly do appreciate it. If you guys can hit the subscribe and like button, it really goes a long way, and I greatly appreciate it. Also, if you ever want to choose the first video of every month, or even possibly the middle video of every month, support me on Patreon. Also, if you ever want to see me get Zerged over live or play other games live, follow me on Twitch. But as always, hope you did enjoy the build video. Like the video if you liked it, comment your thoughts and experience with the build. Also, anything I might have missed out, what video I should do next. Subscribe for more, but most importantly, stay Zerged.